sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, so we're diving deep into the Oscar nominations for 2025. You guys saw that Good Morning America article, right? We're not just going to read the list, though. We're talking about the big trends, the snubs, and really what these nominations tell us about the state of film today.
And don't forget, this year's ceremony is dedicated to L.A., because of the wildfires.
Right.
So there's going to be a whole other layer of meaning there, right?
Right.
And I think it speaks to how art can uplift and inspire, especially during hard times.
Totally. Okay, so Emilia Pérez, leading the pack with 13 nominations. What is going on with this film?
Yeah, 13. It's a musical drama, but it's also so much more than that. It's about this Mexican drug lord, and he magically turns into a woman. And so it's about her trying to reconnect with her past life. It's got that gritty realism from Jacques Audiard, but then it's also got this vibrant musical element.
Oh, wow. So not your typical musical then?
No, not at all. Some critics are even calling it a tropical melodrama, which I think is pretty accurate. It's got this really unique energy. And the story tackles some pretty big themes, like gender identity, family, redemption. And it got 2 nominations for Best Original Song. So the music is important.
Okay, Emilia Pérez is going on my watch list. But it's got some competition, right? The Brutalist and Wicked both got 10 nominations. Let's start with The Brutalist. I feel like there's been some controversy around this one.
Yeah, a bit. The Brutalist is about an architect, and he wants to build this utopian community after World War II. But it gets kind of dark with some of the choices he makes. And the controversy is really about how AI is shown. Some critics say it's pushing those harmful stereotypes, about AI being cold and dangerous, which is a timely debate, especially with how AI is evolving today.
Whoa, I didn't even think about it like that. So it's not just sci-fi, it's reflecting our anxieties about technology. Right. That's what makes a movie really thought-provoking.
Exactly. And it'll be interesting to see if all that affects how the Academy votes. Now, Wicked is pretty different. It's pure escapism. It's got those lavish visuals and the songs we all love from Broadway. And Cynthia Erivo might make history.
History? What do you mean?
Well, she's already an EGOT winner, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. If she wins for Wicked, she would be a double EGOT winner, which has only happened a few times. Plus, she's gotten amazing reviews for her performance as Elphaba.
So Wicked is more than just a sing-along.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think people will be surprised by how emotional it is.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got the big names, but I'm always interested in the underdogs. Like, what about Anora?
Yeah, Anora's interesting.
It seems to be standing out.
It's directed by Sean Baker. He's known for that raw, almost documentary style.
Right, like the Florida Project.
Exactly.
Which was so heartbreaking, but beautiful. So what's he doing with Anora?
Well, it's kind of what he does best. But this time it's about a young woman. She's on the fringes of society in L.A. today. It's been called neorealist, focused on social realism, very grounded. But he brings in this incredible humanity and humor. It's a tough balance.
I'm noticing a theme here. Emilia Pérez is blending genres. The Brutalist is looking at our anxieties about society. And Anora is using neorealism to talk about contemporary issues. It's like these films are reflecting how complex our world is.
Yeah, you got it. That's what makes this year's Oscars so interesting. These aren't just films. They're starting conversations, making us think, challenging us, and ultimately they're showing us all these different sides of humanity.
Okay, so we've got the big ideas, but let's get into the specifics. What about Best Actor, Best Actress, Best International Feature Film? What should we be looking out for?
Well, let's start with Best Actor. Adrien Brody in The Brutalist. People are talking about that one a lot. He plays this architect who's consumed by his ambition. And you can just see that internal struggle on his face. Brody's always been intense, right? He really brings it in this role.
Yeah, Brody's great. I love actors who can say so much without even talking. It's like their eyes tell a whole story. But speaking of intense, what about Timothée Chalamet in A Complete Unknown? I feel like he's become the go-to guy for these really complex roles.
You said that's something special, right? He totally disappears into this role. He plays this young man who's struggling with identity and where he belongs. The film itself is beautiful. All these sweeping landscapes that kind of mirror what's going on inside him. The director, James Mangold, he's known for getting those nuanced performances out of actors. And he does it again with Chalamet.
So we've got Brody's intensity, Chalamet's depth. What else is going on in this category?
Well, there's Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing. That performance is both powerful and heartbreaking.
Oh.
He plays a man who's facing a life sentence. And he finds some peace through music. Domingo have this presence, from the stage. and he brings that to the screen. It'll stay with you.
Interesting. And Ralph Fiennes is nominated too, right? For Conclave. He's always got that quiet intensity.
Right. Yeah, he's playing a cardinal. And, well, it's all about the Vatican's power structure. During this papal conclave, it's all about secrecy and ambition and morality. And Fiennes just plays it with so much subtlety and intelligence. It's a masterclass in acting, really.
House of Cards at the Vatican. I'm there. But what about those actors who usually do lighter stuff, like Sebastian Stan from all those Marvel movies? He's nominated for The Apprentice, right?
Yeah, and he's showing everyone he can do more than just superhero stuff. The Apprentice is a psychological thriller. So he's really going outside his comfort zone. It's always great when actors take those risks. And even better when they get an Oscar nod for it.
For sure. Okay, let's talk Best Actress. We got Cynthia Erivo going for that double ego with Wicked. But what about Carla Sofia Gascon in Emilia Pérez? I mean, her character's journey is wild.
It is. And Gascon brings such honesty and vulnerability to it. She's not just playing a drug lord who becomes a woman. She's showing us all the emotions of that change, how she handles all those layers of identity. It's really something.
It sounds amazing. Okay, now I have to ask about Mikey Madison in Honora. I loved her in Better Call Saul. I'm so curious to see what she does with Sean Baker's style.
She's great in it. She plays this young woman who's just trying to survive, and she brings this rawness and grit to the role. It's both captivating and really heartbreaking. Baker gives his actors space to improvise, and Madison really uses that. You can tell she's completely in the character and in that world.
So she's really pushing herself. Speaking of iconic actresses, we have Demi Moore back with a nomination for The Substance.
Oh yeah, The Substance. It's a psychological thriller. And Moore plays this woman who's been pushed to the edge. It's a dark and intense role. And she just owns it, you know. The film is really stylized and unsettling. And Moore's performance is what keeps it grounded. It reminds us what an amazing actress she is.
Sounds like she's going all in on the dark side. And then there's Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here. Most American audiences probably don't know her, right?
Probably not. But in Brazil, she's a legend. I'm Still Here is beautiful. It's about a woman finding herself later in life. And Torres gives this subtle performance full of strength and vulnerability. It's the kind of thing that sneaks up on you and stays with you after the film is over.
I love those kinds of performances. It's like you take a piece of the character with you.
Exactly. Speaking of carrying stories with us, let's move on to Best International Feature Film. It's always so fascinating. A window into other cultures.
Totally. It reminds us that great stories can come from anywhere. Are there any films in that category that Americans might not know about?
Well, The Seed of the Sacred Fig from Germany. It's worth checking out. It's this coming-of-age story set in a small village. And it's about family and tradition and the clash between old and new. It's lyrical, full of heart, very connected to nature.
It sounds so specific, but also universal. I love that. Any other international gems we should be looking for?
Winter's Song from Latvia is getting some attention. It's a really beautiful and emotional film. It's about a woman dealing with loss and isolation. In this remote, snowy landscape, the cinematography is stunning, and the performances are so powerful. It's a film that will stay with you.
They both sound so different from the big Hollywood movies. It's like a reminder that there are so many ways to tell a story.
Right. So many different voices.
Exactly.
That's why exploring international cinema is so great. It opens you up to new ways of seeing the world.
Okay, so we've talked about the actors and actresses, and we've gotten a taste of international cinema, but we can't forget Best Picture. We talked about some of the big contenders earlier, but there are still some interesting ones to discuss. Let's start with Conclave. What makes it stand out?
Conclave takes you right inside the Vatican, you know, where they elect a new pope. It's got all this political stuff going on, moral dilemmas, big questions about faith and power. Ralph Fiennes plays Cardinal Lomeli. He's like the guy pulling the strings.
So it's a political thriller, but in the Vatican. That sounds amazing. I'm always fascinated by those kinds of stories, the ones that show you these hidden worlds.
Yeah, it's really well written. You're always guessing who's doing what and why, and it captures all that weight of history and tradition.
Right. It's not just a made-up world. Okay, but we can't talk about Best Picture without mentioning Dune, Part 2. I mean, the first one was visually incredible, and I bet the sequel is going to be even bigger.
Oh yeah, Dune, Part 2. It keeps going with Paul Atreides' journey. He's got to figure out the politics on Arrakis and embrace his destiny. There's going to be even more amazing visuals, more world building, and definitely more sandworms.
Oh, I love the sandworms.
So Denis Villeneuve, the director, he's so good at creating these immersive worlds. He's really outdone himself this time.
So it's not just about the spectacle. There's a real story there, too.
Absolutely. It goes deeper into power destiny, the environmental impact of what we do. It's a sci-fi epic that says something about our world.
I like that. Now, Nickel Boys is based on a true story, right? And it's a tough one.
Yep, Nickel Boys is really important. It shows us what happened at the Dozier School for Boys. It was this reform school in Florida during the Jim Crow era. So we're talking about racism and abuse. It follows these two young black boys, and it doesn't hold back on what they went through, but it also shows how strong the human spirit can be and how there's always hope, even in the darkest places.
It sounds like a powerful film.
It is. It makes you face a dark part of history, and it reminds us that the fight for justice isn't over.
Yeah, we can't forget those stories. Okay, so we've covered some big films, but there's I'm Still Here. That one seems different.
I'm Still Here is a Brazilian film. It's about this woman. She's middle-aged, and she's dealing with family, her identity, getting older. It's very intimate, very nuanced, and looks at loss, resilience, finding your place. It's a beautiful film, visually and emotionally.
And then there's The Substance. I've heard it's like a thriller, but different.
Yeah, The Substance is hard to define. It's part thriller, part horror. And it's got this surreal feeling to it. Demi Moore is amazing in it. She plays this woman who's pushed to her breaking point. And it's all about obsession and revenge and the dark side of Hollywood.
That sounds intense. Okay, so we've talked about some amazing performances. We've explored different themes, different perspectives from around the world. But we have to talk about the ceremony itself. It's dedicated to LA, to its resilience after the wildfires.
Yeah, it adds this whole other level of meaning. It shows how art can help us heal, how it can inspire us, bring us together. I think you'll feel that throughout the whole event, there will be gratitude, community, a celebration of what it means to be human.
I love that. So as we get ready for Oscar night, what are you excited to see? Any predictions?
Honestly, I have no idea who's going to win. That's what makes it so exciting. There's no clear frontrunner. Every film brings something special. It just shows you how diverse filmmaking is today.
It really does. And that's what's so great about the Oscars, right? It's not just about the awards. It's about the conversations, the emotions, the way these films make us see the world differently.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, go see these movies. Let them take you to new places, new ways of thinking.
And don't forget to watch the 97th Academy Awards. It's live on ABC and streaming on Hulu, Sunday, March 2nd. It's going to be a night to remember.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till